fill up, send it. I can reach way out. Now we're trying to pull the draft. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Mike and you're watching Triple T Acres, and in today's video we're out here in my food plot. Well, it needs rain desperately, and there is absolutely no rain in the forecast. So we got to take matters into our own hands. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how I go about doing it. I've built an entire pump system and a watering system that I think that is pretty cool and unique, and there's going to be lots of practical things you could do with it after it's built. So stick around, guys. I hope you enjoy the video. Now you can see I've got a pretty good germination here, and it's because we got a good rain the day after I planted it. And I've got a really nice, what I like to call a 5 o'clock shadow. Now these plants are in a really vulnerable state right now. Their root system is not super deep, so any amount of rain or any amount of water is going to be beneficial. Now that being said, it takes about 27,000 gallons of water to put an inch of water on an acre. Now that seems very impractical, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is to get this food plot by. I know there's no rain in the forecast, but just like with anything, a little bit is going to help. So my hope is to get several thousand gallons of water on here, and the best way to do that is to be able to move water quickly, and that's the system that I'm going to have here in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be shuttling water from my pond out here with an IBC tote and a special trash pump that can pump water at around 260 gallons a minute. So the name of the game is get water down fast and fill up fast, and that's the system I have in place. So let's go up to the house. I'm going to show you my system, and then we're going to start getting water and we're going to start putting it on here, because again, I think as long as I get a little bit of water in here, it's going to help. I'm just trying to get it by until the rain. The last thing I want it to do is to die off. All right guys, check out my setup. I've got an IBC tote on a 5.5 by 10 trailer pulled by my LS tractor. This IBC tote carries a little over 300 gallons. And the pump that I'm going to be using is this 3-inch trash pump by Vevor. I contacted Vevor, asked them if they would sponsor this video, and they were happy to, so I could show you guys their pump. Now this pump is actually really, really affordable. I'll put links down in the description if you want to get it yourself. I'll even have a discount code for you there. But this is a 3-inch trash pump. It's a 209 cc's, and it can pump up to 265 gallons a minute, which is wild. Just wait till you see how much water I can move very fast. And that again is the name of the game. Now how I'm going to fill this thing up is I'm going to go down to my pond, which is just right over the hill over there. I've got a 3-inch suction that's sitting on the edge of the pond, and I'll show you that. And what that does is I'll suck it out of the pond into this pump, and then take this 3-inch line and put it in the top of the IBC tote, and I can fill this thing up in a matter of minutes doing that. Once I do that, once it's full, I disconnect. Now everything I've got here is connected with a camlock. Super easy. They click in with these little wings here, and it bites into these fittings. So what I did is I did some adapters to adapt down to some 2-inch lines, like this suction hose right here is 2-inch cam locks, and I've gotten a little adapter here that has 3-inch to 2-inch, and that clicks in. So I disconnect from my pond, leave it there, and then hook into that, and then I haul this thing out. Now what I have learned, I've already tried this thing out on my pond. It moves a lot of water. That nozzle was awesome. But what I've noticed is this 3-inch line is kind of a lot to do this. So I went ahead and ordered a 2-inch line from Amazon, and it should be here in just a little bit. So what I want to do now is let's go over by the pond. Let's hook into that 3-inch suction, pull water out of the pond, and get it into this IBC tote. I'm going to show you how fast I get that thing filled up, and then we'll switch out to that 2-inch line and get up to the food plot and start watering it. So stick around, guys. All right, well, this is my setup. As you can see, the suction hose is already hanging over the pond edge into the water. I'll bring the tractor around here, pull beside this, and then hook into that. And let me show you that here in just a second. I think that's a good spot. Now I drop the ramp here because I can take this hose and go straight out the back. Now I'm filling this up with my pond here, but you don't necessarily have to have a pond to do this. Now it's a lot faster to do it this way, but you could fill it up with a garden hose. It's just going to take a long time. My idea around this whole thing is to be able to fill up fast, dump fast, because I got to move a lot of water to make it even efficient whatsoever. All right, let's get this thing connected into the pump and then get this line stretched out, and I'm gonna put it in the top there and get this thing filled up. Now I want to show you the cam lock, what I was talking about. These go over and then they just snap in. Now, anytime you're going to be pulling a draft like this, you've got to be able to prime the pump. But once I get connected to this, there's no need to prime it anymore because the weight of the water in this will actually push into the pump. So once you do this once, you don't have to do it again until you come back to fill up. So I got a 5-gallon bucket here. Gotta get the cleanest water. Although that pump can take solids. All right. So to prime this pump, you got to take the cap off the top here, and then I'm just going to pour the water in there. Now there is a check valve in there, which is nice because that keeps the water from just flowing directly out. I like to fill that whole casing up. All right. At this point, you put the cap back on it. Otherwise, the water will just come shooting out the top. All right, everything's sealed up. Now we just got to start it. It takes a little bit of time for that to actually suck the water up in there. Let's see what happens. All right, got the switch on. Throttle up here. Now it's trying to pull the draft. Right now the water's trying to get pulled up. It's a little bit of head pressure on that. But with that pump primed, it should pull that draft. Here it comes. There it goes. I can see the weight of that hose getting heavy. There it goes, right there. Coming around. All right. As you can see here, just a couple seconds, we're halfway full right there. 300-gallon tank. And we're already getting ready to touch the 225-gallon mark. Get down to an idle. It's full. And just like that, we're full. Name of the game right there. Get a quick fill up so that we can get here and get right back out there. All right, guys, I just totally realized something. This end that I have right here, I can just connect it right there. And then I don't have to worry about trying to secure that to the top. So the next time I go to fill up, I'm actually gonna hook into this, open that valve up, and just fill it from the bottom up. The main thing with that, I just gotta make sure the lid is off so the air can escape while it's filling up. I'm learning this setup as I go, and that is awesome. I'm so glad I found that. So now I'm gonna break this thing down. I'm waiting on my 2-inch line, but I think I wanna go out there one time with this 3-inch line. Now you may be thinking, why didn't you just go with a 2-inch pump? And here's kind of my mindset around that. You can't make a 2-inch pump a 3-inch pump, but you can make a 3-inch pump a 2-inch pump. And what I mean by that is when I bought the 3-inch, I thought, what is the way I can move water the most if I ever need it? This pump does not just have to do this job. I might need to move water from this area to another area, and to be able to do that with 3-inch line and have that capacity, I think is great. But another thing is I can actually put some adapters on here and make it 2-inch, and you can't do that with a 2-inch pump. So that's my mindset around getting a 3-inch. Now, I will say this, it makes it a little bit more expensive when you go with a 3-inch because all of those cam locks are not the cheapest, and they're just a lot harder to find different types of hoses for that. So I say at minimum, you can get a 2-inch pump, but this 3-inch pump will give you that capability of pumping a lot of water. And this is what's nice about those cam locks, is all I gotta do is release these little wings, and then it slides off just like that. And what I'll do is I'll just leave this hose right here, and when I come back through, I can hook right up to it. Now I switch back over here to the IBC tote. Just like that, we're now connected to that. Okay, we're all rolled up, disconnected. Everything's off to the side. Let's go. Now, I'm not a big fan of driving through a food plot, but sometimes you gotta sacrifice a little for the bigger cause. And it's definitely what we're doing. Now put this nozzle on, same thing, cam lock. Slides right over. Really important to take the cap off the top of your IBC tote, because as that water draws down, it's gonna pull the plastic down. Another thing, again, I don't have to prime my pump because when I open this valve up, water starts filling. It actually starts filling up the hose too. All right, let's get some water flowing here. Now, This is unbelievable. And I can fog it a little bit too, open up the droplets. This is awesome. Out there, reach all the way to the other side. Amazing. And this is crazy. And I can open that up and see how I can make the fog. And I can reach way out there. I mean, I'm going clear to the other side of that food plot. I think we're running out of water here. All right, so I chose this area because it's in the evening and all the shade is coming in here, and it's not just gonna dry this out. But I definitely got, heck, I mean, it's even puddling in some areas. But this is a good area that I got covered. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back, fill up, and then pick off this section. And I'll spray all that, and then I'll go to the other side and just work my way out of this food plot. Now, I'm sure you could see why I want to go to a 2-inch. Once this thing is full, it is so heavy. It's a 100-foot section too. I mean, that's a lot of gallons of water to try to pull around by yourself. What I ended up ordering was a 25-foot of 2-inch. That should be way easier to maneuver so I can move around. Even though I can reach out and spray, I can actually get a better look at what I'm spraying at. But I still think I got really good coverage here. All right, I'm gonna break this thing down. I'm gonna go back to the pond, fill up, and hopefully that line is in. We get switched out. All right, let's get out of here. All right, we're back out here, reconnected, but this time I connected this way. I made that adjustment. We're gonna go in from the bottom. It's already primed. Let's get it started. Start filling that thing back up. All right, there it goes. All right, I really like that setup. Now I don't have to worry about it kind of bursting out the top and trying to keep control of that hose. Okay, well, it's the next day and I ran out of daylight last night, but I did get that 2-inch line in. And I was able to shuttle it one time, but I ran out of light to videotape it. But I'm telling you right now, the 2-inch line is the name of the game. 25-foot section. I've also learned that I can fill up this thing plenty fast enough that I don't need that 3-inch line. Now I'm saving the 3-inch line in case, again, there's multiple uses for this system. If I just want to move a bunch of water, that's great too. If I want to use this for fire suppression, you know, if let's say I want to use it for grass fires or something like that out of my house, you just never know. I mean, it's one of those things that if you build this, the sky is the limit on the type of things that you could do with it. But the 2-inch line makes a huge difference. You know, building this system and not knowing anything about it, just kind of everything was in theory. I've learned a lot of things as I've gone, like for instance, the 3-inch to the 2-inch, and then this little setup right here. But to explain it better, I'm just opening up this valve. There's a little bit of water left in there. It's gonna flow into this, and there's actually a check valve. And it'll flow past the check valve, fill up that pump, and then when I hook the prime up, I don't have to pour the bucket of water through the top of that cap. So this should make it a lot easier. Gonna get this thing primed and fill the tank up. All right, we got a 2-inch hose here connected. Less hose to maneuver around, less gallons of water I gotta try to pull around. Should be a lot easier to maneuver. And you'll see I've got plenty of flow. And by the way, so far, I've used this Vevor pump the entire time and it has been flawless. One pull and it's on. All right, real quick before I spray, the other night I did that whole section over there. I did a center section and then I did this side. The only thing I got left is basically this back corner. So I'm gonna do this whole front section and work my way out of here. Throttle up, send it. See how much easier it is for me to move this hose around? Now I've only got 25-foot section. I could probably get away with 75 feet and still easily be able to move this hose around. But this is way, way, way better. Plenty of flow here too. I just cover a lot of area with this setup. And this is so easy to move this hose. I could do this with one hand. All right, guys, we just made it out here to the last section. Right there is the edge of the water line that I just did. So it's just this section right here, and then we're finished up and we got this whole food plot watered up. So let's go ahead and get this stuff sprayed off and finish it all out. You know, I really think this is the perfect length and the amount of area that you're gonna wanna water at a time. Everything I can reach is probably the right amount of gallonage just to give it a little bit. If I could stretch this thing further, it might be too much food plot to actually even water. So I think we're in the sweet spot. All right, guys, we got everything all watered down. It took me a couple days, but I wanted to make sure I did it in the evening, and I kept running out of daylight. I've got about 5 300-gallon tanks of water on here, and I think that that is just enough to get it by. So if it doesn't rain here in the next week, I'll hit it again. And again, I switched from the 3-inch to a 2-inch. So if you're gonna do this, I still recommend getting a 3-inch trash pump. And if you're interested in this whole entire setup, I will put a complete supply list in the description with links and stuff like that. And with Vevor, there might even be a discount code in there, and all the links will be affiliate links. So if you use them, I'll get a little bit of a commission, but it shouldn't cost you anymore. If you get a 3-inch pump, you can always adapt it down to a 2-inch, and you still have that pump available for you to move lots of water if you need to drain a certain area or anything like that. But guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. I hope this helps you and encourage you that if you're worried about your food plot, or you're worried about your yard or anything like that, you can actually build a system pretty cheap. Those IBC totes you can find on Facebook Marketplace pretty cheap too. But guys, if you like this kind of content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, but until next time, we'll see you in the next video.